Sorry, I got it. Good evening. I'm Reverend Dr. Jeffrey Goodine, pastor of Church on Wheels Spoken Word, Deltona, Florida. Invite you to another edition of Bible Study 2024. Thank you all for coming. Thank you all for not thinking it robbery to take time out of your busy schedules to join with us tonight. We really appreciate it. Thank you for those of you that are tuning in on the airways. Like us on YouTube at Pastor Jeffrey Goodine. Subscribe, hit the bell to be notified. Say if you subscribe, that you will be notified every time we go on YouTube. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on our Facebook group page, Church on Wheels, Let the Good News Roll. Facebook Live, Jeffrey Goodine. X, which is formerly Twitter, at Goodine Jeffrey. Instagram, Goodine Jeffrey. And Clubhouse, Church on Wheels Ministry. Tonight we are continuing in our study of praying beyond God's ability. Now, when we say praying beyond God's ability, that would put us back at James chapter 1, where it said if you want something from God, you ask, because he can give it liberally. But you can't ask double-minded. Because it said if you pray double-minded, let not that man think he shall receive anything of God. So, praying double-minded. Now tonight, we're going to, instead of looking at your prayer and your knowledge, now we're going to look at the actual person. We're going to talk about me and you, personally, as humans. Now, we're going to, we're going to take the spirituality out of it a little bit, but, it's there, but it's something a little different tonight. Tonight, we're going to look at the prayer. The prayer. That's you, that's me, the person that's praying. We're gonna look at that tonight. The person that's praying. The prayer. Not what he's saying in essence, but we're gonna take a look at the mannerisms of the prayer. Now, there are other mannerisms, I took 4 tonight, but, each one of them is kind of a subset or subcategory of one of these, it's okay. If you say, well, there's some more, then fine, that's more. You say, well, that's not them, well, then you can do that too. That's okay, it's fine. Fine with me. But tonight we're going to look at the prayer. The individual that's praying, whether it's male, female, doesn't matter. The prayer. Now, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Clubhouse. Send me an email at pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. That's pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. And I will add you to the list, and you will get a copy of the handout so that you could follow along with us in Bible study. So send me an email, pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. It's pastorjeffreygoodine@gmail.com. I'll add you to the list, and you can get a copy of the handout so you can follow along with us in Bible study. So tonight, the prayer. Before we begin to think about bringing an indictment against God for that long list of unanswered prayers, let us first consider carefully the prayer and the various categories in which he will fall. All prayers will fit into one of many categories. All prayers. Now, you say, no, that's not me. That's okay. If you say, well, yeah, that's me, then it's okay too. I'm not here I'm just here to Bible study to talk about the prayer tonight. The prayer. Now, according to the handout I created, the first category can be likened to a man who comes not as a free man, but as a slave, cringing before his taskmaster. Now, this concept is, if we look at the Father as a taskmaster and we are a slave, then there's a certain aura or a certain actions that we have that we come, look at it this way. The boss on your job, well, I'm just using an analogy. You just got back off vacation, but now you need some more time off because you got a family member that's sick. So now you got to approach them in a certain manner, and you approach them kind of on a timid side, because you kind of know that they're probably going to say no. But if they do, then that means that I'm going to have to give up my PTO. I'm going to have to give up, this. I'm going to have to, give up some weekends. I'm going to have to give up some stuff that I hold dear. So think of it in that kind of concept, okay? I'm not putting God down on there as the boss, but as a taskmaster. But you know how some people are. I'm just saying. So the first category, a man who comes not as a free man, but as a slave, and he recognizes himself as a slave. So as this prayer coming to God to get his prayer answered, he's coming like a slave to a taskmaster. Now, I put here, always fearful about the reception, but mostly fears the embarrassing rejection. We come, we don't know how he's going to receive us, but we sure are afraid of that rejection if he says no. We kind of feel how he's going to receive us. We kind of worried about that, But then we really don't want to get that no. That's the embarrassing rejection. He has no relationship to the boss. Has no relationship. Just like you on the job, he the boss. You ain't never talked to him. You just come through somebody else. And we'll get to that one also. His needs are many, but only ask for the most urgent of necessities. You just you just got back off vacation, but now you need this time off because this family member is sick, and I need that time off. But you're afraid of the rejection, that he'll say no. So this type of person, his needs are many, but he only asks for the most urgent of necessities. Only asks for the urgent of necessity. Now put it, he's thinking he might receive something, but he believed that it will cost him more than what he will receive. Yes, you might get might get them extra days to look after that sick person, but now look what you're gonna have to give up. So now I got to give up my Fridays, got to be working overtime, got to work through the holidays, stuff like that. So you figure that was more, and those times, holidays, and like working on Thanksgiving and working Christmas, and and working New Year's and stuff like that. You said those times I usually have off. But so if you do give me this, then look at what I'm gonna have to give up. Now you know that's the first thing out of people's minds when they talk about following Jesus. What am I going to lose? Look at what I'm giving up.
Well, he's giving up hay for the time he's taken off.
Yeah.
So he's got to make that up.
Yeah.
So he can pay his bills.
Yeah, definitely. Now, and he pictures having to give up so many good things for this little thing. So he's come to the master. He said, all I want is just a couple days. But now look what I have to give up. Give up my time during the holidays. I got to give up my time for this. Got to give up some Saturdays, maybe some Sundays, you know. And so that's what is going through his mind. He often says, I feel so unworthy and I can't live the Christian life. Now, you've heard people say that. Now, all of us have heard people say that. I can't live like that. I ain't got my life together yet. You know, however you want to word it. Say, I'm unworthy. I don't feel, you know, I haven't done enough, or, you know, whatever excuse we could come up with. And then I put, he always has the longest list of unanswered prayers. This person has the longest list of unanswered prayers. It's because he's coming to God, but he's coming to God like, you know, I'm a little timid. You know, I don't know. You know, I don't know. And what if he says no? You know, what if he says no? And so we don't come. But we still praying now. Okay, now I want you to understand. We're still praying. Still praying. But we praying double-minded. Because he's praying like I'm coming, but I know he's not going to answer me. I know he's going to reject me. I know that I'm going to have to give up this. And there's so much I'm going to have to give up to get this little bit that I'm asking for. Double-minded. And so this person has the longest list. Now, I hope you don't fall into that category. But there are some that fall into this category. They view themselves that God is the taskmaster or the slave owner, and you're the slave, and you got to come to him with a necessity. With a necessity. But you got some ideas and things going on in your head, and you've already almost accepted the fact that he's not going to answer. You kind of already accepted the fact that he's not going to answer. So if that's the case, then why come prayer? Why come as a prayer? If you've already accepted the fact that he's not going to answer you, or that he's going to say no before you even ask, now that supports James's theory of praying double-minded. So when you come to God double-minded, let not that man think he shall receive anything of God. So you see, that analogy has already put the prayer in the wrong setup. The prayer is already come to the conclusion that I'm going to have to give up something. And what I'm giving up is going to be more than what I'm asking for. And that It's so what they do is they don't ask. I mean, they pray, but they ain't really praying because they feel they got to give up something. And what they're going to give up is more than they feel what they're going to get. And so this person has a long list of unanswered prayers. And you can see how they could have a long list of unanswered prayers. Because they're already praying, they are afraid of the rejection. So if you're afraid of the rejection, then you could see them coming to God like this, looking up, Yeah, come on. You know how your kids are. If you got kids, you know that when they come get ready to ask for something. They come like this, and they're bracing for the rejection. They're bracing for it. And then when you don't reject them and you answer, they go, huh? What? They did. And they forget that you're loving. But they've already come prepared for the rejection. So, if you come in to pray and you're already thinking about rejection, that's double-minded. They're double-minded. So now you could understand, I hope you understand now why this person has a long list of unanswered prayers. Why? It's because they're doing what? They're praying double-minded. All right, second category. Second category are ones who approach God as a man with his banker. Now, we know God's got a bank. Says, does have somewhat of a relationship. We feel we got somewhat a relationship. Now, the reason why we have a relationship with the banker is has made deposits, that but has withdrawn almost all he has ever put in. That means that you're praying. All right, let's say this. Let's look at it this way. You make a deposit to God. You show some, you recognize who he is. You ask him for his daily bread. You say the standard stuff. But look at all the prayers you've been asking for him to give you, but when you were asking to give, asking for a thing, you weren't saying and recognizing him as being the Almighty. You weren't giving him the accolades. You were just praying and taking. So yes, this person prays that he gives adoration to God, but he don't do it enough to cover what it is that he is withdrawing out from God. So, not to say that we counting the blessings and things of that nature, but I mean, when was the last time you said thank you? I mean, when was the last time you said thank you? When was the last time you prayed to him and showed adoration? Even our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Now, when you go through that, you ain't even asking for stuff yet. All you're doing is showing and recognizing who he is. That's a deposit. Now, when we go into prayer and say, Lord, I need this, where's the deposit? So you do more withdrawing than your deposits. So, now, the account is kept open by periodical visits. Periodical visits. Every now and again, every now and again, we recognize who he is. Not every day, periodically. So if you go to the bank and you make a few deposits, your account can stay open. What they tell you, if you can keep deposits of $500 a month, then you get free checking or whatever. Whatever the ideology that they come up with to get your money. So you probably don't go to the bank that often because nowadays we got everything online, but you understand what I'm saying. You got to approach the banker. The relationship with the banker is mostly through people who work for the bank. Pastor, can you pray for me? Or Deacon so-and-so, can you pray for me? Sister so-and-so, can you pray for me? Trusting them to keep good records and handle his affair. He's trusting the pastor to pray to God for him. He's trusting, the deacon. He's trusting sister so-and-so. He's trusting these people to handle his affairs with God. Trusting someone else to handle affairs with God. He never seems to be aware of the checkbook balance and attends to business affairs sloppily. Not sure the banker knows him. You hear people say things like, well, the Lord knows my heart. Remember I tell you, be careful with that? So you don't really know, but you say, Lord knows my heart. So when you say something like that, that should let people know that you really kind of don't know him. But you say he knows your heart. You recognize him as being the banker. You recognize him as being, but then you say he knows my heart. And you need to be careful with that one. And we tend to pray sloppily. Like, we pray over the meal, but we don't do it all the time. We come to church and our mind is someplace else. Stuff like that. Hey, you want to tell you something? The Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Club, our congregation, everybody hear me. It has always been said that if you can't go to sleep at night, pick up the Bible and start reading. And I guarantee you'll be going to sleep. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. That's what they say. But here, think now, our affairs with him, we are very sloppy with our prayer. We're very sloppy with our asking. We're very sloppy. In fact, we actually would feel better get somebody else to do it for us. That's when they come to the pastor. Pastor, can you pray for me? I need this, I need this. Pastor, can you pray for me? Instead of you praying yourself. Said, I put here, now he needs a loan. Now you come to God and you need something. And it's an emergency. So he timidly approaches the banker. We know it's an emergency. We know we haven't been, we've been putting a few deposits in there. So when we look back over our record, we did a little bit. We really hadn't built up enough, but it's an emergency and we need a loan. It's an emergency, so we come to God. But we timidly approaches him. And then I put in G, this why. He knows the banker will be tough. We'll go over all past records of all transactions. And here I put here, some he hoped will not be remembered. You know those ones that you didn't tell nobody? That nobody knows? You don't want him to bring those up. And very carefully examine the collateral. What is it worth? What is your worth to God? What is your worth? What do you think your worth is? Now, I mean, come on. Let's be, think. What do you think your worth is? If you've been living, if you're this man, if you're this prayer, that you handle your spirituality sloppy, you take more than you give.
I think if you're in that situation, which I see myself there at times, not anything more worthy than filthy rags,
Yes.
But it's something I, try to be conscious of and work on a daily, weekly basis, and some days are better than others,
Right.
But it's something I strive for, and I ask God to help me with, to give me that extra oomph and guidance each day.
Right. Help us with our unbeliefs.
Yeah.
And this guy, now this prayer comes to God with great uncertainty, but faith. What is that? Double-minded. He's coming with uncertainty. A lot of uncertainty, but a little bit of faith. But he got mostly doubt. What is the doubt? I have not put in enough deposits to draw this out. I have not put in enough deposits to draw this out, so I need a loan.
Sometimes I think I beat myself up a lot, and, we tend to be, maybe that's humility, that always thinking I haven't done enough.
Right.
And can I give more? Can I do more for others? And then you start selling yourself short or doubting yourself. So then you wonder, why would God reward me?
And that's when that doubt sets in.
Yeah.
That's when the doubt sets in. You came to him, but like you say, I come to him, but I come to him with uncertainty. My faith is that I'm going to come to him because I know who he is and what he can do, what he has done. But now I start looking at myself. I didn't put enough deposits in.
Something that stuck with me several Bible studies ago, I think it was us, but 3 words, and it's been easy to stick with me, and I text this to people all the time when they're telling me about some of their issues that they're going through, problems, and I'm like, no fear, no worry, no doubt. Didn't we do that a while back?
I think I've done sermons on that, but not in those contexts. Yeah. But I do understand what you're saying.
It was backed by scripture, not those exact words, but the 3 things that come out of that. Get rid of the fear.
Right.
No fear, no worry. Get rid of the worry, and no doubt.
And no doubt. And
because then you're not giving God a chance. Sorry.
Yeah. And you're right. And so this guy, this prayer, what does he have? Doubt and uncertainty. But he got what? He got faith to come to him. Again, he's coming what? Double-minded. He's coming double-minded. He knows who he is, but his thing is, he said this kind of prayer will account for about 1/2 of the rest of the unanswered prayers. He's going to come. He does do a little bit of deposits to God every now and again. He makes a visit. Instead of every day, he might make the visit, Sundays. Like I would say, wait until Sunday. Wait until Sunday. So if that's the case, then he's only doing it 4 times a month, 5 times a month, depending on that. But there are 31 days And out of those 31 days, he only recognizes God 4 or 5 times. He puts his deposits in. And in those 30-something days, 20, in those days that left, 25 days, let's just say 25 days, he's drawing out. He's waking up every morning. He's got his health and his strength. He's got these. He thinks they are free, but they're not. And so now he needs loan. He's realized, he's come to the conclusion that if I only went to church on Sunday, but now I need to ask him something on Thursday, on Friday, on Wednesday. And all of those things that I've been drawing out my life, my waking up every day and all of that, and I'm not giving any honor to that. That's a withdrawal without a deposit. And now an emergency happens. And I've come to the conclusion that I have not made enough deposits to cover this withdrawal, so I need a loan, and it's an emergency. Yeah.
Just so it's clear to those that might be listening, that deposit you're talking about is a relationship.
Right.
It's a relationship that he's looking for.
Right. And
not
yeah.
anything specific that you have to, nothing that you have to do per se. It's just a relationship.
Right. And good point. The relationship.
Like Pastor Montana used to say, start by giving at least 10% of your heart to God.
Yeah.
And then you could grow from there.
Yeah, grow from there. And the relationship, the making deposit, that's the relationship you have with the bank, is you make deposits. You don't make deposits in this bank over here. It's this bank right here. You make the deposit. Whoever's calling me, let them they tune in. So if this is the that's probably some. Let them go. Don't stop it.
Spam call.
Right. So he comes with uncertainty and doubt. He has faith that he'll do it, but he got that doubt and that uncertainty. And a lot of his prayers go unanswered.
Because of maybe some of the rejection he's got in the past, or perceived rejection.
Yeah, perceived rejection, and really, let me tell you something. To me, I believe that when you ask God for something, He looks at the whole thing.
Sometimes your prayers you think they're not answered, but they really were. They're just not the answer you were.
Yeah, they're not the answer you were looking for.
Right.
At the time you were expecting to get the answer.
And those answers don't always come immediately. They can come years later.
Right. But He will bring to your remembrance that remember you asked for this. Remember you asked. And then you say, boy, that couldn't have happened at a better time. Couldn't have planned it no better myself.
His time.
Yeah, in His timing. And you're right, and they think that those are rejections. Yeah. And so now we built up the evil one that said, you can't go to him. He don't, you haven't praised him enough yet. And then so now you come double-minded.
Great point.
You come double-minded.
Get us off our Trinity balance.
Right. And I put here that when He looks back over your life, you say, oh, He looked back over my life. Well, I hope He don't remember this. When I did this. When I did this. I mean, He knows. Come on. Right. Just because your friends don't know, God knows. Just because, them friends don't know, God knows. So, but that's how we think sometimes. And that's that person. That's that person. Now, the third category is this is of a higher caliber prayer. This is the father-son analogy. Now, think about the father-son analogy. Understand what is intended when we identify God as the Father and believes as His children. That means that we know He's the Father and we believe ourselves to be His children. Okay? intends to show a father who always provides and a child or son who always receives on the basis of a relationship. The father-son analogy. You know, if your father and your son, you know they're going to come to you, you know, father, son, you know, and we're not, you know, not taking out, you know, the mother, daughter, the father, daughter, you know, don't be sending me no emails saying, you know, the chauvinistic way, I don't want, you know what, send me the email, that means you know my email. Do that, send me the emails and all of that, good. I appreciate that, means you paying attention and you answer. Now, think about that relationship. The son says what? That my father's going to give it to me. Why? Just because he's my father. And that's the relationship that I have with him. Not that I've earned anything. Not that I've done it. It's just the fact that he's my father. You know how people say, you know who my daddy is? Well, yeah. Then do you know who I am? You know how people do you know who I am? You know, all of that is because they're basing it on the relationship of the father and the son. With analogy. Now, because of that, we have an almost impossible task of establishing a good spiritual relationship. All right, look what I said. A spiritual relationship with the Heavenly Father, if he hasn't experienced a healthy, loving relationship with his earthly father. Surely he's my father. Surely he's my father. So just because he's my father, then he's going to answer this.
I like that name dropping. You know who my father is?
Yeah.
He's the Most High.
Yeah. But there's no relation, there's no spiritual relationship. There's no relationship spiritually. The only thing we got is a father-son relationship. So then, and you know what? Sad to say, but a lot of times, this is what happens in broken homes. Where one lives with the father, with the mother, and then, I don't know, every other weekend, you know, doing 2 weeks out the summer, you know, stuff like that. Now you know that you are the son or the daughter and he's the father, so now you expect him to get all of these things. Why? Mainly because he's my father. And there's no relationship. There's no spiritual relationship. So if there's no spiritual relationship, then it's hard for us to view God that way. If we only look at him as a father-son analogy, then how do we establish a spiritual relationship?
That's awesome.
Because if we have not had a good spiritual, loving relationship with our earthly father, we don't know how that is.
I'm lucky. I love my daddy.
You know, we don't know how that is. So, so we're fighting to establish a relationship. Surely we know the Father's Son, but where's the spiritual connection to it? And I put here the attributes that God demonstrates in his relationship toward us is the epitome of what all earthly fathers should be and can be. If you only show up in your life every now and again when the kid wants something, that kind of, you know, I mean, you're looking at it differently and per se. Now,
Only on birthdays or holidays.
Holidays and birthdays, and then you want this and you want that, and then you try to make the father feel guilty, and then so you want these things, and then if he says no, then you throw a temper tantrum, and you know the whole deal.
Something my dad always told me is you know, when I tried to come over with a birthday gift or this or that, or Father's Day gift, he'd say, I don't want any of that. He says, show me you love me all throughout the year,
Yeah.
not just on the holidays.
Not just on those days.
Because the holidays says you have to. You know?
Yeah.
Look at me.
Yeah, that's what they, you know, and that's the analogy that the son, since the father's son, the only time the son does anything is on holidays or special occasions or something like that. And that was a good point.
Yeah, some people do that with the church.
Right.
They come on Easter,
And Christmas, and, you know, and all that other stuff.
Called C&E Christians.
Yeah.
And Jesus wants us to you know, show us that we love Him each and every day.
Right.
Christmas and Easter.
Yeah.
At our church.
C&E
we just call them
Christians.
C&E
C&E.
Catholics.
Yeah. Now I put here this type of prayer, even though it's a good, we would look at it as a good relationship because we recognize who the Father is and we recognize the Son. You know that you're a son of the Father. Problem is, he suffers more if his earthly father fell short of his responsibility. He doesn't know how to love. He doesn't know how to love, doesn't know how to feel love.
True.
You know? And like you said, Rick, not just on holidays.
Great.
But what about the off days, as we call them, you know?
Every little day means more in the long run than a holiday.
Right.
Because everybody can do that.
Right. And trust me, they do, because we coming up with Thanksgiving, and you will see all of the, you know, I ain't got nothing against this now. Look, listen, don't get me wrong, but I can guarantee you go down to the soup kitchen, you will see some people down there that you didn't see till last year. Television cameras are down there now. And that's just one day they're going to show a meal. And you serve in this one day. I mean, I know you're going to serve. Look, I understand that. But what about next Tuesday?
Yeah.
You know?
Exactly.
What about those days? What about the other days? You know, I'm not saying you can't do that this Thanksgiving. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is if you're only going to do that, if you only show interest one day a year, only showing interest one day a year.
Where was you the rest of the
Yeah, where were you the rest of the time?
Right.
when you may have really been needed?
Yeah, when it was really needed, when the cupboards were getting bare, and the soup kitchen they had to use what they had to make it stretch so they could feed somebody till they get some more supplies in. Where were you then? So the father-son analogy, that yes, they recognize themselves as a son to the Father, but it's only in a physical relationship, not a loving spiritual relationship. And you suffer more of that when your father, your earthly father, how you view your earthly father. Because, think about it. If you look down on your earthly father in that relationship of a person you see, how can you have a relationship as a father-son with somebody you don't see? How can you feel from that love? How can you feel that love? That's all I'm saying. So you see here, this person is more of the physical relationship instead of the spiritual, loving relationship. Now, on the back, I'll put the fourth category. This is a higher category than the father-son, and I'll put here, friend. Do you know that sometimes a friend is closer than a brother? Sometimes your friend is closer than your family members. So this relationship, and I put here John chapter 15, verses 14 and 15. In friend. Remember now, he said he called you friend. Now, there's some things we do for our friends that we won't do for our brothers and sisters. He says, ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I call you friends. For all things I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. So now he doesn't look at you as being a servant now. He looks at you as being a friend. So you would know what he would do. He's telling you everything that the Father told him, he's telling you.
But it brings it back around to the Father with the last verse, 2 verses.
Yes.
Verse 16, you did not choose me, but I chose you and appointed you so that you might go and bear fruit that will last, and so that whatever you ask in my name, the Father will give you.
Right. That he will give you. So you see, now he's calling you friend. The relationship now is a friendship. And a lot of times, our friendship, we all have friends. As I say, a friend, you don't see them all the time. When you talk to them, it's always good. And you pick up right where you left off. It's just a relationship you have. And do you know that you would tell that friend certain secrets that you won't tell your family? That friend knows, and you trust that friend. Because your friend will tell you, if it got out, you said it. You said it. And that friend also going to tell you the truth. See, your friend is going to tell you the truth. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to put you on the spot. And they're going to love you while they're doing it. They're still going to be your friend, but they're going to tell you when you're wrong. So a friend.
Reminds me of that song, oh, what a friend we have in Jesus.
Yes, what a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. It's a friend. Because we'll confide in a friend before we do family members.
Yeah.
And because a friend is going to listen. And they're not going to judge you. They're just going to listen.